Okay, well, good morning, 7th grade math class. We are going to begin a new lesson to start this week. We are going to begin on 10.5. This is called circle graphs. And if you want to follow along, which I would suggest, you're going to want to turn to page 449, okay? Page 449. That's where you want to start. 10.5 on the circle graphs. Now, if we have a circle, which let's see if I can draw this and get it to actually do it. So I have a nice little circle graph. Now, here's the center of that graph. And let's say that I have two lines going like this. Okay, they go from the center of this graph. And let's say that that is 30%. Okay, it's actually not 30%, but let's say that it's 30%. The question would be, how many degrees is 30%? Well, if you remember, a circle has a total of 360 degrees. Now, not percent. Okay, see that this is 30%. A circle has 360 degrees. So the way we figure out how many degrees are in this angle right here, we take 0.3, right? That's the percent. That's 30% equals 0.3 times 360. So if you do that on your calculators, punch that in, you get 108 degrees. So if I was going to draw this with a protractor, I would set the protractor at 108 degrees and draw that, and I would get 30% of a chart. Okay, so this is going to come in a little later in the lesson, but for now, that's where we're going to start. So if you're confused on that, I'm going to do a quick example, right? Let's say that this line between these two represented 55%. What I would do is I would do 360 degrees times 0.55, and on my handy-dandy calculator, which I'm going to punch in for you right now, that is 360 times 0.55 equals 198. So that line right there I would draw would be 198 degrees. Okay? So you just use the percent to draw the line. Okay? Now, just looking at pie charts in general here, circle graphs, sorry, I call them pie charts, but it's a very similar thing. Okay, so there's a nice big one right there. So let's say that we have a line. Draw my ruler here. Let's say that it has different segments coming off here. So boom and boom and boom. And let's say that this down here is 4, and it says that this one is 5. So this is the chart on 449, if you're following along. 5, 2, 3. And let's say we're going to add a category of another 3. Okay? Now, let's say that this right here, this category up here is pink. This category over here is red. This category is yellow. And this category down here is aqua. And we're going to add our own category. This is white. Okay? So we have pink up here, red, white, aqua, yellow. Now, if I asked you which one has the most, that's really easy. You would say the 5. If I asked you which one had the least, that's also easy. You would say yellow. Right? So by looking at this chart, we can just interpret it. Okay? You guys can do that. I believe in you. You're plenty smart enough to figure that out on your own. Okay? Now, we're going to do one that may look a little bit more challenging. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll give us a big pie chart and it will represent something else. Okay, so for example, let's get my line back up in here. And let's say they're doing all kinds of different stuff here. And they have 4 categories, and each one, let's say this one represents 5, 6, 9, and 4. But let's say it represented hundreds of dollars. And what that means is that this is actually 500, if we wanted to write it that way. And this means that this is actually 400, and this is actually 900. So if you want to, and it says something like hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars, you can do that just on your own. That way you don't get confused, okay? So that's just a little tip of advice when you're interpreting the chart. Okay, the only other thing that we're going to be doing for this lesson, so it's not a very hard lesson, is drawing a chart based on information. Okay, so sometimes they'll give us information that looks like this. They'll say